In theory, a plug-in hybrid car is the best of both worlds. You can fill it up at a petrol station or an electric charger, whether that be out and about or at home.
Dream! You get a petrol car and an EV all in one. Except that hasn't always been the case. Let me explain why.
Up until the last couple of years, plug-in hybrids were an example of a great idea, but one where the technology wasn't quite good enough to match the ambition. I know this because I've run several PHEVs over the years and the issues were almost always the same.
The batteries were tiny, and it meant that you got a real-world range of as little as 15 miles, which, once you leave the city, is pretty much nothing. And then there was the question of where you charge the thing, because plug-in hybrids couldn't accept fast charge. They could only have the AC slower charging, and that means that you can't just live off fast chargers like a lot of early Tesla owners did.
Unless you had a home charger or a charger at work, the PHEV just did not make sense. And even if you did, the limited electric range meant it was only suitable for a small number of motorists.
That's because every time you drive a plug-in hybrid with an empty battery, it's just, well, a waste. You've got the extra weight from the electric motors and the battery and the disadvantages that brings in terms of fuel efficiency, handling, comfort and performance, but you don't get any of the plus points that you've paid for.
Of course, there were and are other company car tax related reasons why a PHEV would make some degree of financial sense, but in reality, they just weren't the finished article.
But guess what? Now, they are.
Introducing the Volkswagen Passat 1.5 TSI e-hybrid. And while I appreciate it's not the most exciting car in the world, it is a very good one. And more importantly, it's a great example of a modern plug-in hybrid that works.
Let's start with the battery. You can't see it, but at 19.7 kilowatt hours, it's a lot larger than anything you got in a Golf GTE, for example. And it means that the claimed electric range on this car is 76 miles.
Okay, so the most I've seen in real-world driving conditions is 65 miles, more like 55 miles in the winter. But that's still a very usable amount, and you get similar numbers from many other VW Group and Mercedes-Benz plug-in hybrids. And if you really want the most range, then the Chinese-made Amoda 9 claims 93 miles thanks to a whopping 34.5 kilowatt-hour battery.
That is a game changer. Things you could do with that range. You could drive all the way from London to Oxford on a single charge, or if you lived, for example, 30 miles away from your office, you could drive from home to the office and back again on a single charge every day of the week, every week of the year, and cover 1,200 miles a month and spend just £27 a month on electricity for your car. That is very good value, and the good news, it doesn't end there.
That's because, like many other new PHEVs, the Passat e-hybrid is capable of accepting fast charging at up to 50 kilowatts. It's not the most cost-efficient way to charge the car given the price of fast charging, but it does mean that even if you don't have a home or work charger, you could run a PHEV and get most of the benefits.
Having said that, I have done a few journeys in this car with the battery fully depleted. I had no choice. And in previous generation PHEVs, you'd be getting 30 to 35 miles per gallon in that scenario. Not the end of the world, but also not great and no better than you get from a regular petrol model. However, in this, the last time I did a journey with no battery, I covered about 60 miles in just less than an hour, and I got 50 miles per gallon, which is very good.
And if I've got a longer journey and I want to run the car in hybrid mode so that the charge lasts longer, I still get well over 80 miles per gallon. I've done over 6,000 miles in this car over the last 3 months, and I can remember every fuel stop because I'm averaging 100 miles per gallon. and I do a lot of long journeys.
So there you go. A modern plug-in hybrid can work brilliantly. My time with the Passat has proved that. But I'm not going to pretend that there isn't still one big lingering question with PHEVs, and it's that if you can go partially electric, what's stopping you from going fully electric?
As long as you run your PHEV properly, and by that I mean regularly charge it up, then a full EV should, in theory, work just as well, if not better. You're already committed to charging, so why not go all the way?
Just because you theoretically can, it doesn't always mean you want to. Yeah, an electric vehicle works very well in a lot of scenarios, most scenarios for a lot of drivers. However, picture the scene. You want to take a long drive down to Cornwall, or you suddenly need to go up north because of a sick relative. You'd hope that you'd have enough charge to complete the journey in one go, that your car would be on 100% battery. But then, even if it's not, you can just stop and use a fast charger and top it up that way. Or at least, that's the idea.
A recent survey that you can read in the description found that out of a sample of 1,000 UK EV drivers, a staggering 83% had issues with public charging in the last 12 months. As it stands, public charging is a key part of the EV ownership experience, and in the UK at least, it's not yet up to scratch.
And thus we arrive back at the convenience and, in a lot of cases, the safety net of the plug-in hybrid. Over the last few years, and with the latest technology, this type of car has become a genuinely viable option. And although, yes, it is a bit of a compromise by nature, compromises, well, they often work. But what do you think? Would you buy a plug-in hybrid vehicle in 2026, or are you better off just going for a regular petrol or a full EV? Let me know in the comments below.